Wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy.
Hey, what up,
Grab
girl?
my glasses, I'm out the door. I'm gonna hit this city.
Let's go.
Before I leave, brush my teeth with a bottle of Jack. Cause when I leave for the night, I ain't coming back. I'm talking pedicure on our toes.
Welcome to the Hometown Heroes podcast for Sunday, November 19th, 2017. How are you? How you doing? Is it another week of rape in Hollywood? Is that what's going on? Don't talk yet. We're still in the intro. We don't know who the guest is yet. All right. So as it is a bit of a theme with this podcast, in that I fuck things up quite often. This week's podcast episode was supposed to be with Tom Allen of Pacific Heights, California, San Francisco, and also he went to the prestigious Hotchkiss School in Connecticut. And no. My guest here is getting impatient. That's who it was supposed to be with. I recorded it. It went great. We had a great talk. Anyone who knows Tom Allen knows he's got the swagger of California on his back, and we really got down to the roots of where that all comes from. And you know where you can find that? Nowhere, because it got deleted off my computer. So we're not going to be able to listen to that one. But instead, we have another guest who, you might have seen her in classrooms all across Southern California. You might have seen her in her pajamas working from home every day. You might have seen her in her hometown of Brentwood, Tennessee. My wife, Lara Abousakher.
Hold the applause, please. It is me. In the flesh, in my pajamas, as Joe so aptly characterized me. Thank you.
Drop top and playing our favorite scene.
So we're going to have a little bit of fun today. It's going to be off the cuff a little bit. Didn't do as much research on this, I'm not going to lie.
Kind of a trend when I am part of things.
Well, it's just, it was really just out of nowhere. We didn't, I would have loved, and you know what? I also kind of thought I would have known more about Middle Tennessee, Brentwood, but it's I married a gal from the ritzy part of the country.
When a boy from the country meets one of the elite, it's something to behold. And
I don't know if you know this, but the elites they cover up a lot of where they come from, so it was hard to find out. The Illuminatus of the the Historicus of Brentwoodicus is.
Are you speaking Latin?
Mm-hmm.
I see. Okay.
So, would you like to hear? Is there anything you want to plug before we get started?
I have an English 10 course I am currently writing.
Mm-hmm.
Look for that to be in your local charter schools here soon. And other than that, my Instagram stories are pretty lit. I just got
where can people follow you at?
Labsa.
Oh God.
LABSA 1014.
Wait,
That's my
1014 is part of it?
Yeah, on Instagram.
What's the 1014? I know what the 1014 is. Of course I do.
On Twitter,
it's just not catchy. It's all I'm saying.
It's not
catchy.
catchy.
It's not hard for people.
I was a teacher.
Making it harder
I was
for
a
people.
teacher when I started my social media and had to be undercover. And now that I'm not a teacher, it's kind of lame because I think I would have a pretty significant following just based on my life in general. So
yeah, I mean, I retweet you when I can.
Exactly, when you're able to. I understand you have a lot going on.
I have a standard. I have to keep up. So.
Mm-hmm.
He's pulling up to the parties, trying to get a little bit tipsy.
All right, so let's talk about the history of Brentwood, Tennessee. Well, it all starts with the European settlements of the Indian lands, correct?
Doesn't it all?
This is how
most, if not all of America.
Of America.
That's what you were going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
Our knowledge of life in Brentwood begins in the 15th century when several villages... I have a hard time reading.
What's ironic is that I'm an English teacher, and another trend from your podcast history is that you're awful at reading. So we'll talk about that.
Anyway, these were all part of the Mississippian culture. Now, that doesn't mean they stood barefoot with Pall Malls smoking with a baby in the belly.
No?
That's not what Mississippian culture is. That is the Mississippian times of natives. The mounds they built and the graves and artifacts found in the area reveal little about the traditions of the way of life. Unfortunately, these people, what do you mean these people, had no written language and no accounts by explorers or other observers survive.
I doubt that. I think they just didn't look hard enough.
No, the Mississippian, this is the 15th century, and this is like before the 15th century, that's the 1400s, so this is like right as people are getting to like New England.
But there's things known as Egyptians, and we know their entire way of life.
Yeah, but that was like a big time civilization. The Egyptians were like fucking, they went hard on civilization. These guys, they didn't, I mean, they were happy.
So hard.
That's the thing about the Native Americans before
They're
people came here.
uncivilized. I hear what you're saying.
Whoa. All right, well, see, that's funny you say that because that's the Brentwood coming out of you a little bit. No, they weren't. They just didn't own things. They didn't have possessions. It really was like a hippie lifestyle back then.
Native Americans are the original hippies.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
What is hippie short for? Hypocrite?
I don't think. That seems not
Hippocratic oath?
likely.
Hippopotamuses.
Hewlett-Packard.
Oh.
Okay.
So what caused them to leave is a mystery.
Really?
White people.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's funny. The next thing coming up, speaking of which, European settlement. In the years between the waning of those early Native Americans and coming of white settlers, the Cherokee Indians used Middle Tennessee as a hunting ground. So Middle Tennessee, it was all hunt. Just like they still do today. It's, deer hunting and whatnot. While early French and English explorers began hunting around the 1760s, the Cherokee grew to mistrust and fear their white encroachment on the land.
I don't blame them.
No, of course not. For the next 25 years, Indians and whites killed one another in a battle of dominance. Early provisions. This is a cool little thing.
Wait, but who do you think won?
Who won between the white people and Native Americans?
I spoiler alert, but I'm just... Go on. I'll find out. Go on.
I bet the Native Americans won most of the battles, but in the end, it's like,
it's not about the battle.
White people had more people just to keep throwing into it.
Okay.
Early provisions by the King of England gave to North Carolina all of the land from its Atlantic coast westward. This is really cool. So I actually like this tidbit of factoids. Anyway, if you've ever looked at a map at the United States of America, look at North Carolina, and you'll see. Have you ever noticed that there's North Carolina on the coast right here, and then straight across? That's the straightness of the top of Tennessee, right? You ever notice how Tennessee and North Carolina are straight like this? And it keeps. If you look at that line, it keeps going all across to almost to California. But that's because whenever North Carolina was with the first 13, so the king said, you can have this, and you can have this, all that way. So North Carolina was like a belt across the continent. And over time,
that's so straight. Like
it's very straight. If you look
border.
at
that's crazy.
It's extremely straight. And anyway, at this time, so North Carolina owned all that.
Okay.
But so North Carolina was all rich, and so they're like, we're gonna make this westward part, just that's part of our shit, and that's what Tennessee became. Funny factoid over here too. Tennessee was also almost named Franklin. Anyway,
I don't mind if you continue with factoids, but what you can't do again is say the word factoid because you've done it twice, and that's your cap. So
my butt hurts.
Hemorrhoid?
Yeah. I was setting it up for you to.
I can't. I mean,
anyway,
right.
North Carolina since they had all this land, they used it. North Carolina promised each soldier in its Revolutionary Militia a grant of land in the military district. That was Tennessee.
It's a lot of land.
An area of, well, I haven't told you how much it is. An area of 100 square miles with Nashville at its center. So after the war, these soldiers and those who purchased their claims began to settle the area now known as
Brentwood.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
So the village of Brentwood goes on and on. At this point, it's just the village of Brentwood. So there's people here. There's grist mills.
There's an apartment complex called the Brentwood Village.
Yeah, exactly. So, but at this time, there's mills and a post office being made. And if anyone who listened to Avery's episode, we all know that where there's a mill,
there's a way.
Okay, so there's a hometown. So this goes on, and then what's the most important thing to happen in the South's history?
Civil War.
Wrong. Billy Ray Cyrus's first hits. And then, of course...
Don't stop, make it pop, DJ, blow my speakers up.
The second gem of the South?
The second most important thing was the Civil War. So the Civil War happened, and another thing a lot of people don't realize is that where the Civil War was mostly fought was in Tennessee, because you had the Norths coming down and you had the Souths coming up, and they met right there in Tennessee.
What do you think most people think?
I don't know. I don't think most people realize the South that all of the war was fought in the South. I think people think American Civil War was just fought in America.
You think so?
Yeah, I really do. That's why people in the South are so much more passionate about the Civil War. It's so much closer to them is because it was fought there. Like, they had to deal with the repercussions of war, and the North didn't. I know it sounds like I'm like a rebel will rise again guy, but that's why I'm just I'm throwing an olive leaf out there. Throwing an olive leaf?
I think it's a branch, but maybe you don't want to go in full.
I don't want to give them a whole branch because they were fighting for slavery.
That's fair.
Just give them a leaf.
That's fine.
And leaf on out of here. So the Civil War was happening, and many slave owners' sons and brothers left Brentwood in 1861 to join the Southern Army with high hopes. High hopes.
Good for them, but...
Yeah. Come on. The fall of Fort Donelson and the Union occupation of Nashville early in 1862 left Brentwood vulnerable.
There it is.
Nashville fell. Nashville was under Union rule, and all of the railroad was under Union rule. And that's an interesting tidbit, an interesting factoid for me and you. The somewhat anticlimactic Battle of Brentwood took place on March 25th, 1863. Colonel Bloodwood and 400 men of the Union Army were stationed on a knoll.
Bloodwood or Bloodworth?
Bloodgood, I said.
Oh, that's not what you said.
Oh.
Okay.
Colonel Bloodgood?
It's pretty straightforward. Sometimes you hear last names and you're like... wonder what you go back and you think what the interpretation.
Bloodgood.
That one's pretty damn
It would be pretty hard to
straightforward.
fight for a guy named like that. It'd be pretty hard to fight on his side and convince yourself that you're the good guy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right?
It might be bad for morale. I could see it a little bit.
We're going to go fight under the honorable man, Captain Devilthirst.
That is no, that's what I'm saying. Like, his last name, that was his destiny, though, right?
Captain Cockchoke. What? Okay. 400 men of the Union Army were stationed on a knoll. And these Union troops were guarding the railroad that brought supplies to their army in Nashville. So this is this railroad in Brentwood. It was going to Nashville because Nashville was the center where the Union had taken over. That railroad, you know where else it went through?
Don't tell me.
What?
Your own hometown?
Of?
McEwen, Tennessee?
Uh-huh.
And here we are.
That railroad brought us together. Oh, boy.
Railroad of love.
So that railroad, it was a Union
the
railroad.
country hit,
It took supplies to Nashville. for the Union. And just like in McEwen and Brentwood, Confederate soldiers would attack. They would blitzkrieg it. Blitzkrieg it.
That's right. They'd give them
they'd
Hannity
throw
treatment.
just tiny bits of coffee at it, just enough.
And smash it.
Yeah,
And then you get it back.
but you can't use it again because it's a environmental disaster.
It's all.
Anyway, so they would.
Say history repeats itself. They weren't shitting.
So yeah, that's what happened, and so the fabled Confederate Raider General Nathan Bedford Forrest,
Oh, him.
the guy who started the KKK, sneaked up on Bloodgood.
Does it say
Forrest sneaked up. Forrest positioned. Forrest sneaked up. It does say sneaked.
I know. I like that word.
It does.
I like that it is a word.
Is that a word?
Yes, but it sounds like something that would be
You
like in a
threw me
fairy
off, making me feel like it shouldn't have been a word. It is a word.
Yeah, I know. I like that word. That was.
Forrest snuck up on Bloodgood and cut the telegraph wires so he could not call for his reinforcements. Forrest was a bad dude, man.
He just had his statue pulled down recently.
Oh, not the one in Nashville. That one's on private ground. But Forrest, Nathan Bedford Forrest, people don't realize, like, that dude, like, the reason so many war historians, like, have a hard time, like saying, like, oh, we need to never talk about him, because he was evil. He was, like, definitely an evil dude. So let me tell you the story of Forrest. Yeah. Forrest was a poor dude. Grew up in the middle of Tennessee, dirt poor, and then he made equivalent of $30 million by just starting his own farm and shit, and then also slaving, like having slaves and selling them. And then he decided to join the Civil War as a private, and he worked himself up to lieutenant brigade general dude.
So privatizing war has been around since...
No, as a private. Oh. As the small, like, as the lowest.
Not to be confused with privatizing war.
Yeah,
I'm with
and
you.
he gave
Okay.
like $1 million worth of money.
So he was a millionaire coming in as a private.
But he was just a crazy dude, and he's like hands down one of the greatest like land soldier land battle. What's it called when you can play war very well? Anyway, he fucking destroyed.
He sunk their battleship.
He sunk so many battleships, and like he just rode in. You know what he was like? He was like, what's his name in Inglourious Bastards? Brad Pitt. Yeah. So anyway, that's who we're dealing with here. And Bloodgood didn't have a chance, so he snuck up on them and cut the telegraphs, and then they fucking killed 500 of them, and they only lost 4.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. The numbers speak for themselves.
So that's what happened.
That's
the Battle of Brentwood.
That's like cutting, like you cut the phone lines. Like I didn't realize cutting the telegraph lines. That's
So they couldn't call for help.
yeah. I mean that's forward thinking.
That's how it ended. That's the Battle of Brentwood.
All right.
That was it. They lost. The Union lost that, and Union ended up winning overall. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, they did.
But they lost a lot of shit, and it's because of that dude, that crazy racist dude. So
you're saying you're cool with the statue?
No, I'm not. I'm saying
but
that
you're kind of.
I'm saying that like war historians look at Nathan Bedford Forrest the same way that like black comics look at Bill Cosby. It's like he did awful shit, but he changed the game, right?
Fair enough.
Okay.
I'ma fight till we see the sunlight. Tick tock on the clock, but the party don't stop. No.
Okay. So then after the Civil War, Brentwood was one of those places that just kind of went back to normal.
Okay.
You know?
Meaning?
Well, it just kind of like they had enough money to just go back to normal.
It's having money isn't like you don't have to say it out of the side of your mouth. Also, it makes it really hard to understand what you're saying on top of it.
So, and then Brentwood went on to be a prosperous place and outside Tennessee. And Brentwood, so let's talk about it. Brentwood is like the place where country stars live. It's like, is Brentwood or Franklin the more? I feel like Brentwood and Franklin have like a rivalry of like who's the ritzier.
No, well, Franklin's old money. And Brentwood is new money. That's
Franklin
the biggest.
is Country Stars, and Brentwood is Tennessee Titans Stars.
Correct. That's a good way to delineate between the two.
If there was a Real Housewives of Nashville, would they be in Franklin or Brentwood?
If you want the ones with the real money, they're going to be in Franklin. If you want the ones that are flashy and extra, that's Brentwood.
So Brentwood.
Oh, for sure. If you want like the guilty pleasure, absolutely Brentwood.
You watch that stuff all the time. Wait, paper. Listen. This episode is brought to you by Audacity for deleting my episode. So we're gonna riff it, and so you went what high school did you go to?
Well, my freshman year, I went to Brentwood High School, and then there was overcrowding, and so they opened Ravenwood High School, and I went there for sophomore and I graduated from Ravenwood.
Brentwood High School. Brentwood High School, for those of you wondering, what's Brentwood High School's mascot?
The Bruins.
The rivals are Franklin High School and Ravenwood. Some famous people that went to Brentwood High School are Daniel Curry, Kate Hughes, Chris Moorman. He was a retired soccer player. Someone else, I don't know.
Playing.
Someone. It's not a real word. It has a dollar sign in it.
K-E $ ha.
Yeah. I think it was a comedian, maybe. I don't know. Like, ha.
You know who was a dean? Oprah Winfrey's cousin.
Wait, what?
Yes. She was the discipline dean at Brentwood High School.
Was that the lady that would go on Oprah and people would...
That was Gayle King. That was like her girlfriend. No, that wasn't her.
What do you mean your girlfriend?
Well, there's speculation that Stedman's what's the other, like a
man.
beard, but like the other, like flipped, like a beard is the...
A shaved leg.
Yes. Stedman is Oprah's shaved leg, which is a cover for Gayle because...
You think if anyone, Oprah would be cool with being gay, right? Or maybe she wants to cover up for the fact that she wasn't in the past cool.
Yeah, that's what I think. What I think. Like, and now at this point, it might bring more shame that she's hidden it so many years. But all I'm saying is going to Brentwood High School informed my choice to be a teacher. And I really quickly realized that was not what being a teacher is actually like.
Because in Brentwood, it was just like such a nice... Because Brentwood and Ravenwood both have... they're like number 7 and number 15 on the best public schools in the country.
In the nation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I was like, sweet. It was basically like I thought I could be Mr. Feeney or the other cool one that was hot. And now I can't think what his name was.
I remember that guy. He had like wavy hair.
Wavy hair. Oh,
you thought that guy was hot?
Wavy. If you watch Boys Meets World and you did not think that guy was hot, you weren't me, because I did.
That guy had too much hair.
No, everyone loved him. He like fostered Sean. He was a good guy. He had
Sean was the one. He was the best friend, right?
Yeah, but wrong side of the tracks. That whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's what, between Boy Meets World and going to a school where teachers actually played that role, I was like, yes, teaching is for me. And then I realized.
Did you have a good high school experience?
In general?
No?
Nope.
Why?
Well,
I'm going to tag this in Brentwood, so. Scandalous.
I just don't. Here's the problem. Is technically, though I went to school in Brentwood, I actually lived in Nolensville, which was the neighboring town.
Wrong side of the tracks.
I was Deshaun. Exactly.
You were Deshaun?
Like
Deshaun Watson?
Well, the Sean, which I think loosely translate to Deshaun. And thinking back, maybe if I had adopted that nickname, I would have had a more unique high school experience. But no, so I grew up in Nolensville, which is like which when you say wrong side of the tracks is hilarious because it's the most cookie cutter suburban bourbon, if you will.
Yeah, it's all Williamson County, which is
the wealthiest county in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I think it was very different, and I was very sheltered. My parents were very strict. So I recently started going back and watching Laguna Beach from season 1, episode 1, as you do. Mm-hmm. And that high school experience, I think, was more typical of my peers, whereas my own was not the norm. So I don't know. I didn't really feel like I fit in ever, and that was my biggest.
So Franklin is old money, Brentwood is new money, Nolensville is want money.
Yes, which is, again, hilarious because now that I know what, like, poverty is, I'm like, we were also very well off, but not as even close to well off. Like, I'm talking, I had friends that had, like, turrets in their homes and trapdoors and...
Yeah, y'all lived in a normal suburb place.
Yes, we lived like Edward Scissorhands style. Like, you had 2 models you could choose from, and we chose one, and then, you know, they had the whole, like everything. You could choose your shutter color, but other than that, it was like, you know.
What's a shutter color?
Shutter color?
Like shutter down or something?
Well, more like the shutters on the front of your home. Which, why do we have those, honestly? Like, I get it.
Don't you have to shut them down if, like, a
hurricane hits Nolensville, Tennessee? Yes.
Or, like, a tornado or something?
Yeah, but they aren't functional. You know, they're just glued to the side of the house.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's stupid.
Well, that's dumb.
That's always been a pet peeve of mine.
It just sticks on the side of the window?
Literally just is stuck there on the brick. Like, you couldn't pull them over if you tried.
That's dumb.
They should be called stickers instead of shutters.
So you went to Brentwood High School for the first half.
For my freshman year.
And then you went to Ravenwood
High School.
They opened that up for the poorest, right?
No, that's the thing, is there were still plenty of rich kids there.
Yeah.
And then...
It opened up when you were a sophomore?
When I was a sophomore. I was actually the first graduating class.
Wow, and they were the Raptors.
Alive in 05.
I'm a Raptor. Eye of the Raptors.
Yes, and here's the thing about that, is we actually got to vote for the mascot. And all of us chose the Raptors because we thought it was the dinosaur.
Yeah, a raptor is a dinosaur.
Nope. A raptor is a predatory bird, which no one's ever heard of. And they unveiled the mascot, and we were all like, what the hell? We voted for a dinosaur.
Oh, yeah, raptors. Birds that hunt and feed on other animals.
Yep.
So every bird, that's every bird.
Well, maybe you're
every
looking
bird
at a very general...
eats other animals.
Yeah, it basically looked like a condor or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it. Golden eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all birds of prey. That's what a raptor is.
It was pretty. It was a bit of a bummer because we all thought we were getting a dinosaur. Precisely.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, what's wrong with a bird of prey? That's pretty cool.
Well, it's like when you think you're sipping Sprite and it's water. Like, yeah, a bird of prey is not bad, but when they unveil your dinosaur and it's a bird, that's a bummer.
Opened in 2002, the $24.5 million facility. Good God.
It's insane.
My high school was probably worth about a fucking 20 grand or something. Designed by architect Charlie Johnson. Who the fuck?
You don't know Charlie Johnson?
Well, I'm just saying, like what high school has a named architect?
Maybe I don't know him.
Well, I know, but the fact that he's in the first sentence of the school is insane. 540 students.
Yeah, that was the first class.
Yeah, currently enrolling 2,000 students. You know how many students were in my high school?
Total?
Yeah.
1,000.
Way lower.
In your whole high school?
Yeah. I graduated with 70 people.
What?
Yeah.
So that's 280.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's not. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Anyway, the red-tailed hawk. That's
the raptor.
Doing what he can.
Across the land. I can't remember the rest. Yo, Miranda, what's up? I referenced that the other night, and it got some good hits.
Couldn't find any notable people from Ravenwood. Maybe it just
That's
hasn't been
it
around.
That's because it started in 2000.
But you went. I mean, I feel like there's some people you told me about.
In my brother's class, I mean,
yeah,
there's several MLB. It's sports.
Did Robbie Ray? No, Robbie Ray went to Brentwood High School.
There's several MLB players.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
They all went to Brentwood.
See, that's another.
None of them
they're
went to
probably
Ravenwood.
claiming Brentwood.
Oh.
That's kind of how it was. It was like Ravenwood was looked at as like the, redheaded stepchild of the trifecta between Franklin, Ravenwood, and Brentwood.
City Brentwood is where Tractor Supply is located. The
headquarters?
The headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
You know about Tractor Supply?
Of course.
Fucking love that place, man. You can just go in there and pretend like you're gonna like go out like if you want to live off the grid, you can just like go in there and get everything you need. It's kind of like Williams-Sonoma.
Couldn't you say the same for REI or no?
Yeah, but Tractor Supply is like more like
good old boy.
Yeah, like this stuff's REI is like if you want to go camping.
Okay.
And you like have to live out in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
Tractor Supply is like I'm gonna build a good
a bunker.
House.
I'm a doomsday prepper.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you.
All right, so high school experience. How was it when you moved over to Ravenwood? Was that a good experience?
It was. I thought it was like going to be a good, like a new beginning. But here's what's weird is that I never felt like I fit in, and by that I mean I wasn't like in the popular crowd. Like the popular crowd was very much like, it was very much like there's the football players and the cheerleaders. Like any movie you've ever watched about high school, that was my school experience. Like the most typical. There's the jocks and there's the cheerleaders and there's the goths and like in the Mean Girls where they map out the cafeteria. Like that's legitimately how it was. And I wasn't really any of those. And really I was a theater nerd, but I graduated 05 and 05 was the class of the athletes, whereas 06 was the class of the thespians, if you will. And will you?
I won't.
I felt like you wouldn't. And so it was just weird for me personally. But then my senior year, they revealed the nominees for Miss Ravenwood or whatever.
Was that you?
I was in the top 3.
Wow.
And I
didn't know I was
dating
married
royalty.
to royalty.
I mean, dating. I forgot that. Did we make this official?
Yeah, 10 years ago.
I see. I might have missed that. Yeah, so that's what I mean. It was just weird. It was weird for me. I don't know. I never felt like I was in. I don't know.
Well, there was only 280 people there when you were there, right? It was still a small school?
Well, just the first year. But then
by the time
it
you were
added,
senior.
right? So I was 10th grade, and then the 9th, and then they added up. So by the time I was a senior, there was a full, probably, 1,500 kids or whatever.
So you get done with high school. You have an okay experience. Kind of feel like you're out of it. Kind of feel like you're in of it.
But the problem is, here's the thing, is I would watch Laguna Beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was like my litmus test for high school.
It's a bad litmus test.
But it wasn't, because
have
that was my school.
Acidic pH level.
Yeah, but that's the problem, is that I didn't fit into that experience. So it was really odd. It was an odd experience.
If anyone from Laguna Beach came to my high school, they would have been in the corner crying.
I couldn't imagine.
Who the fuck's that little girl over there? What's she doing? What was she wearing high heels for?
Exactly.
How the fuck she get up the stairs?
Exactly.
And that was my impression of every girl in my high school.
I thought it was the boys, but I didn't.
Shit. Take her out. So then you go to college. You go to the illustrious Middle Tennessee State University.
I did.
And you go through all of it. And then, so what happened in college? Anything?
I mean, nothing
of note?
Notable.
Anything of note? Freshman year, you have did you get a dog or a cat or
It's not ringing a bell. Keep going.
Sheep.
No.
A lamb. A cow. Horse.
No.
A baby lamb.
Wait, go back.
What did I say? A baby?
I did.
You got a baby?
I got a baby.
You had a baby freshman year of college.
I did. Now that you said it.
How was that? Did you...
Well, it was awful.
Yeah.
We're being honest.
Was that how'd it go over with trying to get done with school?
It was rough. I'm not gonna lie. I
Did you take
would
any
not
time off?
recommend it. I wanted to. I wanted to take a semester, a little reprieve, raise my child, suckle my teat. I don't know.
You did the suckling of your teeth?
Is that not?
Did you suckle
Did I do it wrong?
I think so. I don't think you're supposed to.
That explains, now in hindsight, that explains some things. So maybe that was my problem. But nope, I did not, because if you remember, we grew up in the land of Nathan Bedford Forrest.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I would love a semester reprieve. And they said, well, I guess you shouldn't have fucked before marriage.
You said that exactly?
Yes, it's in a formal letter. I have it in the drawer. And they said denied. And so I had to keep on trucking and just went through with the baby.
Listen, we will give you your money.
Mm-hmm.
But you're gonna have to go to school, and you're gonna have to bring that baby with you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If really we're doing you solid, because we're giving you 2 educations of college at once.
That's right. And thank
This is
God
a
I
2
have
for
a
1 deal.
brilliant kid, because she nailed the
Hell yeah.
sociology final. I actually made her take it, and she crushed it. So that was good.
And then you somehow make it through college. You're killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Killing it in college.
But that was, I think, the only notable thing that happened in college.
That's it.
I'm
Well,
pretty
you were raising a child, though,
Yeah.
the other time.
Mm-hmm.
You get to senior year.
Mm-hmm. Nothing
A
notable.
dashing young man walks into class.
Oh, my God, that guy.
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
Bill?
No.
Not Bill.
I think his name was John.
Jonathan or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he was
in our class. He was really hot.
But then I met him, and he was.
I talked to him too.
Spoken
He had like a speech impediment or something. I don't know.
That was fine because his dick was huge, but
No.
he was.
It wasn't that big.
Wait, did you fuck John?
I just saw it one time. I
Oh.
just like looked at it.
Okay.
He was like playing with her or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, but yeah. But then there was this other guy in my class. His name was Joe, and blah, 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 and so.
That's the noise you made with John.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met in a classroom of adolescent literature. I was going to learn the literatures of the child's.
Well, here's the thing.
I thought there would be a lot of hot chicks.
Exactly, because it was either adolescent literature or Bible is literature, which I've always wanted to take.
I wanted to do it too, but I was doing a documentary class that year.
And also, you picked your schedule based on the potential to meet hot babes.
Yeah.
And signed up for adolescent literature.
Yeah.
And
There weren't any hot babes in
know.
there.
I know. And you were so let down. And then you thought,
That's
well,
why I
what's
didn't
plan
come to
B?
class. I didn't go to class at all. I went to the first one, and then I went to none of them.
Can we also discuss how our teacher was a Quaker?
Yeah, she was an actual Quaker.
An actual Quaker that wore unicorn sweaters.
And the buckle hat.
And no, I see that you didn't go to class because she actually did not. I think you're thinking of the oats guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was not our teacher. No, she was a female. And she was a Quaker.
She did eat oats every day in class, though.
That also wasn't.
Who am I thinking of?
I honestly think you're thinking of just the Quaker Oats guy.
Okay,
I'm
keep going.
pretty sure. She would pull out a book every now and then.
Did her shirt have a recipe for oatmeal raisin cookies on it?
It did not. Again, what you're describing sounds a lot like the Quaker Oats guy.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. She would pull out a book. She would read from it. I don't know if this is ringing a bell, but.
Adolescent literature is very important to be able to Frankenstein was actually pronounced Frankenstein, and so for the rest of class, I'm going to be saying Frankenstein, and you're going to be saying to yourself, why is she saying Frankenstein?
The best thing was when she would read passages from Catcher in the Rye, because I think she got a little...
She didn't like the word goddamn.
Well, I think she did like it.
No,
I
she
think
didn't.
it was the
She
only
liked
time
to. She
she
rushed
was-
through it. Remember, she would say,
Goddamn.
and then he took his goddamn furniture.
Yes.
A book just fell off.
You know what book it is that I'm going to actually shit my pants? It's the book It.
A book just fell off the bookshelf
And
by
it's
itself.
And I literally 2 nights ago had a dream about Pennywise the clown.
Well, he's in the house now.
I mean,
He's in the house
not
now.
even joking. I have chills in my entire body right now.
Anyways, thank you for bringing those spirits into the house. We met. We fucked.
Again, I think you're thinking of the Quaker Oats guy. That wasn't me.
You didn't, I don't know.
Choke you
Things
with the belt?
Things got a little steamy. And
Oatmeal started popping up. Is that?
Yeah.
That was the guy.
That was the guy. He was a cool guy.
Well, maybe you should have ended up with him.
We had ourselves a long-distance relationship as I was already moving out to Los Angeles, and I moved out here, and then what brought you to Los Angeles? What?
Well, I'm in education, and I don't know if you know this, but being in education, any educator that you speak to will always say that Los Angeles is where you need to move for the industry. So I actually came out here to be an educator, and then I remember you saying, I guess I could find some kind of work in my field out there.
Yeah, I don't really know if there's any comedy or production work.
Exactly,
in Los
but we'll
Angeles,
give it, we'll play our hand or whatever. And so that's I ended up out here.
Do you think you'll ever go back to your hometown?
Permanently?
Ever?
Yeah, I think we should probably retire there, to be honest.
What?
On a farm?
That's not your hometown, Brentwood.
Oh, Brentwood?
Yeah.
Hell no, I won't go back there.
Yeah, you won't, not with me or not.
Absolutely
Nothing against
not.
Brentwood. I know this sounds like we're shitting on Brentwood the whole time. But,
And we are.
Okay. I didn't know we were.
Oh.
But, I mean, it's not my cup of tea.
That's what it is. It's just not me.
Yeah.
I think some people are very happy, and some people would probably hate living in LA.
Yeah.
And those people are idiots.
I don't like... Look, I like Nashville. I really like Nashville to go. But I wouldn't want to live in Nashville. I don't know what it is. It's just not for me. If I'm going to live back in... If I'm going to... See, my problem with like Brentwood and Nashville and places like that were that everyone there tried to act like they were from the country. And they weren't. Like, Nashville's just another city, you know? It always felt kind of like we're country over here. You're not, though. You're just a big city.
There were actually guys in my high school, and they lived in mansions in the middle of a huge gated community.
Mm-hmm.
And for their 16th birthday, they would get an F-150 lifted, and they would fly rebel flags from it. And they would have the Dixie horn when they would pull into the parking lot. And I couldn't understand.
Yeah, I
I
never liked that. And where I grew up, like, it wasn't like that. It was like that, except they were driving their granddad's truck, you know?
Yes. And the flag was
so
probably
it kind of
actually
felt,
from the Civil War.
Yeah, it kind of felt it like you didn't agree with it, but you I never
it was their roots.
That's why I always felt like, all right, well, this is at least where you're from. Like, if you're being racist or whatever, that's just who you are, whatever. Like, you don't know any better. You lived out here in the middle of nowhere. That's all you've ever seen. It always bothered me when, like, people tried to appropriate. It's weird that you appropriate that culture. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's true.
It's so weird.
It's true.
You know what else, like, Southern racist that always bothered me was, and it was so funny, the most, like, usually the good old boys, they weren't really, like, they just didn't, like, they'd never seen a black person or whatever, so like, like, they're never around them, so they might say something racist without realizing it. But like the aggressively racist people that I knew growing up, they would piss me off mostly because they were like that, but they were also really into hip hop and like sports, and like they had their favorite. It was so weird. It always bothered me. Like they would always like be like super racist, but also blasting Dr. Dre. It was so. Did you ever notice that in the South?
Yeah.
That part I always hate. It was like a weird like obsession with black culture, but also like I don't like it.
It's like
thugs
doth protest too much type.
Yeah.
Like there was a hidden fascination,
a hidden jealousy, maybe
like a closeted.
I think it was a
love
jealousy.
Absolutely.
I think it really was. They were like, I don't like how cool they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wearing all them baggy clothes and whatnot. I like my tight Wranglers.
Yes.
I think we should just. What else do we want to talk about?
I mean, this is your show. I'm just a guest, so I'm not sure.
Well, that's what we were talking about. Maybe we can use this as a transition into the future of this podcast.
Okay.
You know, this is an ever-changing podcast here. And we got talking about it. I think we need another host on the show. Maybe not another host, but what were you saying? Like Robin?
I mean, a Robin to your Howard.
A Robin to my Howard.
Is having been a...
Basically, I can't have anything to myself in this goddamn house. All right.
That's really what it was.
She comes looking over it, and she's like, oh, it's something you enjoy. I'm going to come over. I don't need some of it.
But also, as a devout listener of Hometown Heroes, to me, it's the next phase of development.
Always on my ass over here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry we had to do like a filler episode. Not that this was not fun to have you on the episode, but it was just, you know, an episode that got deleted and we had to fill it really quick. But it's a great intro to. So basically, what are you gonna do on the podcast now? Because here's the thing: I do sometimes I get a little off subject.
Yes,
you know?
a lot.
I have my history, and then I get a little like get down a rabbit hole. Maybe having someone on the side to be like, hey,
bring it on back. And the other thing is that the people that you generally have on here are your friends.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
Correct. And sometimes you don't ask them as many probing questions as I would like to know because you already know the information. And so sometimes as a listener, I say, go on. And you don't go on. And then I'm bummed and I miss out on that part of their life.
I'm bummed. I wanted to know about Joe Morrissey.
Exactly.
Dad.
Joe Morrissey in particular. His dad. I need to know more about that.
Hey, Joe, how you doing? How you doing today?
Joe Morrissey's
pretty good.
episode was actually just you sitting here with
yeah,
two microphones.
I have a confession to make. I didn't actually bring Joe on the episode.
Yes.
I just talked to myself.
That was Joe.
Hey, how you
with
doing?
two
How you
mics.
doing?
Yes.
I'm doing all right, Joe. How you doing?
Correct.
I'm doing okay.
Correct. If you go back and listen, that's actual audio. So yeah, just kind of a little ear of the listener, keep you on track, kind of like I do in every aspect of our life. And, what happened?
I don't know. We're just gonna have some fun for a little bit.
Are we?
Yeah, you're gonna. Wait, where'd you go?
What?
What are you doing over there? Where the hell did she go?
I thought the microphone would carry.
All right,
over
so
here.
anyone who doesn't realize, like, ever since that book fell off the bookshelf, Lara just kind of disappeared. But I can still hear her. She's like everywhere in the room all at once.
I'm sitting at the table across from you. What do you?
No, I don't think you are. I think you're dead. Are you dead right now?
All I know is I'm sitting here looking at you.
Oh no, now I'm over here too. It's so happy here. I don't know what to do anymore. Oh. Okay, we're back.
I actually feel like I'm channeling Pennywise, and I don't know the ending that's going to have. So
What?
I'm feeling... Again, I'm feeling a little woozy. suddenly.
A little woozy koozy.
I mean, ever since the book fell, my life, it hasn't been the same. The bathroom?
Yeah. Isn't that what happened in the book?
I mean, maybe. You didn't?
I thought they peed in the book. That was there. They like peed down the sewer drain or something.
They were in the sewer.
They were in the sewer, baby.
They were in the sewer, baby.
Gonna have myself a sewer, baby.
Sewer,
Gonna have
baby,
myself
sewer,
a
baby,
sewer,
sewer, baby,
baby.
sewer, baby.
Have myself a little baby in the sewer.
Make it pop, DJ, blow my speakers up tonight. I'ma fight till we see the sunlight. Tick tock on the clock, the party don't stop.
Sorry, that went a little longer than I wanted it to.
Can I tell a quick story
Yeah.
about?
Well, here, why are we playing Kesha when it comes to Brentwood?
Well, here's the thing: is Ke $Ha went to school with me.
Can I just say, I hope this starts like a huge Twitter beef between you and Kesha,
Okay, listen,
also
this is
getting
not-
like a big boost for the podcast.
Okay, this is not the intention.
You need to talk closer to the mic, by the way. See how I'm like right here?
Is this better?
Yeah. Well, I
Okay.
mean, you can talk normal and close to the mic. You need to know this for the future episodes.
Should I? Hello.
Sure, that
How's
works.
this?
Yeah.
Okay. So the intention of this is, it's just an anecdote. Okay, an anecdote. So a few weeks ago, Kesha, Ke$Ha, was featured in Us Weekly's 25 Things You Don't Know About Me list.
Wow.
Right? But most importantly, I think it was number 11. I could be wrong.
What do you think number 12 was?
That probably had to do something with feather hair extensions. I'm not sure.
You didn't know that this feather growing out of my chest was actually a real feather,
Which
because
is-
I'm part raptor.
Yes. Well, she actually went to Brentwood, so anyway, she told a story in 25 Things You Don't Know About Me about a time in middle school in the talent show, and in the middle of her set, a quote mean girl unplugged the amp.
Lara Abousakher. Lara Abousakher did this.
Unplugged the amp, thereby ruining her set and causing her to run off stage crying.
So real quick, why did you do that?
Again, okay. If someone had done that, maybe it was me. But here's the point of the story. Nobody did that.
It didn't happen.
Nobody did that. And
What did happen?
what did happen is she went up as Kesha Siebert, who was unrecognizable.
Siebert? What is she, a racehorse or something?
Who was unrecognizable.
We got knuckling knees on the corner, and oh boy, Kesha Siebert coming up on behind her.
Yes. So Kesha Siebert is actually unrecognizable from Ke$Ha, and that didn't happen. I'm going to be honest, point blank, didn't happen.
What did happen?
She went
Didn't
up
something happen?
and she sang a Radiohead cover,
Who covers Radiohead?
and she was very goth. She was a Jeanco devotee, completely different image. And
I'm
what
going to tag Kesha in this.
Well, I'd rather you not, because
No.
again, the point here is not to start beef, plug your podcast. If that happens, whatever. But the main thing is to expose the truth, because
What happened, though? She went up there and
What
she was singing
happened is
Radiohead.
she-
Did anything happen? Like, did she, like... Did she like finish the song, or did she
did not
suck at
finish
it?
the song.
Why
because
didn't she sing it?
Because it didn't go well.
So she stopped in the middle of the song and quit,
And walked off stage.
and she said that someone...
Pulled the plug to her amp.
So what you're saying is that Kesha went up there and blowed balls on stage, and instead of just taking responsibility for it, she's saying some mean girl pulled the plug.
Yes, and all I'm going to say is if I end up in Us Weekly next week because
You're
of this,
welcome.
one of my bucket list items is checked off. So
So how do we know you're not just the girl who pulled the plug and you're just trying to double start beef right now?
I also have a Facebook thread that verifies all of this. Again, I have my sources. All I'm saying is you asked why we're playing TikTok at every break. That's why. That's why. I also had PE class with her freshman year and showered with her. So
You saw her boobs?
I did, in fact, see Kesha's boobs.
Wow. Does she have good boobs? I got to be honest with you. I don't think I know exactly what Kesha looks like.
She had a very different appearance back then.
I'm just saying, if you put Kesha on a stage or something, I might not, unless I heard one of her songs. I don't know if I would recognize her on sight.
I didn't. When I heard,
That's not a diss to Kesha. I'm not in that world.
That's fair.
Yeah.
When I first heard TikTok on the radio, and then they said this is Kesha from Brentwood. They said
Her name is really Kesha?
Her name is really Kesha.
That's crazy.
The dollar sign was added after.
Kesha Sherbert?
I think that
That's
was
nuts.
not.
Who came up with that?
I think her mom, Pepper.
Kesha Sherbert. Kesha Sorbet.
Yeah, and her mom's name is Pepper.
Seabiscuit. What was her name?
Wait, Pepper? Pebbles. Her mom's name was Pebbles.
What was her last name?
Siebert. Kesha Siebert.
Sorbet Sherbert.
Yes, and so when they announced her song on the radio in Nashville, I looked her up and I was like, oh, it's not Kesha. And then I watched the video again and I was like, that holy shit is Kesha.
You called her a holy shit?
Kesha, holy shit Siebert.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Which also might be her given name. I'm not sure.
So anyway, you hate Kesha.
That's
it's so
not
weird
again.
That,
that was not the intended.
It's so weird. I feel like we're gonna have Kesha fangirls on here attacking us.
I don't need that. And to be honest, I'm fully respecting what she's doing with this whole Dr. Luke situation.
What's the Dr. Luke situation? Is that the guy who tried to rape her?
Yes. And had her.
And then she still had to sing songs for him. Wow.
Exactly.
So she still had to
She's
make
been
money
through it.
for.
She's been through it.
Wow.
So again,
Wow.
I love what she's doing with that. This is about hometown. She was part of my hometown, and that's where we are. So
you respect Kesha 2006 through today. 2005 before.
correct.
You're
It's questionable.
Man, this
It's
bitch.
questionable. That's all I'm saying.
She found herself.
What I will say is
She
any
found her
other
voice.
person that would come into a talent show with that type of confidence.
Who covers Radiohead in a talent show? That's fucking.
There's video on YouTube.
Yeesh. That's setting yourself up for failure over there.
I also
Radiohead couldn't cover Radiohead in a talent show.
I also when I worked in the child care at the Y. Who's the Titan that stomped the guy's head?
Albert Hainsworth.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's huge.
I babysat his kid.
What's his kid bigger than you?
Jai fucking literally 3 years old up to my shoulders. I'm not joking.
Yeah, Albert Hainsworth was like Andre the Giant size.
Correct.
He's a big dude.
And his wife was this tiny ass blonde white chick, and I can't even
imagine.
I don't know the anatomy involved. No.
I'll tell you the anatomy involved.
You don't. I'm sure you've already. You don't need to tell me.
Tell you what.
All I'm saying, his kid was a giant as well.
So we're at an hour here. I had fun. I had fun with you. Where can people see you next?
Again, I'm actually off to Cancun, Mexico this week.
Oh, you doing shows out there?
Well, by shows, if you mean, again, Instagram stories.
Having sex with your husband. Having lots of
I didn't
hotel sex.
I didn't actually see that on the itinerary.
Oh, it's there.
Oh, okay.
It's going to pop up on you.
Ah.
Sneak up around the bend.
All right. So, again, just check out my Instagram story, Twitter.
That will be on there.
Twitter at LA Abousakher, otherwise Abousakher.
How do you spell it? You got to spell that out. That is a
You don't
tough-
know how to spell your own last name?
I know how to. The 8 people in America and the 30,000 people in Canada who thank you, by the way. Thank you so much. Canada, by the way.
And
It does. Was the last episode Avery's? It was. Hey, I'll add this at the beginning. Canada, you guys came out, and I hope you stick around.
what I need to add now is if they could ship some poutine my way, because that's my favorite.
French fries don't carry that well.
But maybe they have a way, where there's a
There's
a
a
way. Signing
Ladies
off.
and gentlemen, that was the Hometown Heroes podcast. Thank you so much. We will see you next week. Next
We'll
time.
hear you.
2 weeks from now.
We'll hear you. You'll hear us.
Next episode will be, hold on. And, we'll go over this next time. Next episode is going to be with
Carmen
Morales.
Yeah.
Funny comedian. You're going
I
to
can't
love
wait
her.
to meet her.
I can't wait for you to meet her. All right, cool. Thank you so much. Bye.